One of the most bewitching traits of Bangkok is its variety. Stand along the Sukhumvit Road and you can feel like a tiny bug among the long grass of its skyscrapers. But get to know its neighborhoods and suddenly, the best places to stay, play and eat are at your fingertips. With a great public transport system, Thailand's biggest city is easy to explore and travelers can often visit 2, or even 3, neighborhoods in a single day, depending on what you're here to see or do. These are the best neighborhoods to visit in Bangkok. Koh Ratanakasin and Thonburi best neighborhood for sightseeing. The birthplace of Bangkok. The artificial island of Koh Ratanakasin is where it all started more than 200 years ago. The remnants of this history, today Bangkok's biggest sites, draw just about every visitor to the city. The big hitters, the Wat Phra Q and Grand Palace Complex and Wat Pha, are a short walk from the Chao Phraya Express boat piers at Chong Pier, Maharaj Pier and Tien Pier, and are within walking distance of each other, although the hot sun may make doing this a more demanding task than it appears. Alternatively, tuk-tuk vehicles, pronounced duk-duk, are a dime a dozen around here. If you're planning to visit several sites, it's a good idea to arrive early in the morning for the cooler weather and to avoid the crowds. Evening is best for photography, particularly if you're hoping for the classic sunset shot of Wat Arun. Located across the river, neighboring Thonburi has significantly less to offer in terms of sights, but is great for those who fancy urban exploration. The area is accessible via the river crossing ferries at Phra Chan Pier. The two linked neighborhoods cover a relatively small area, and it's possible to tackle most if not all sites in one, hot and sweaty, day. Banglampu best neighborhood for budget travelers. Antique shophouses, classic restaurants, ancient temples. Banglampu is old Bangkok encapsulated in one leafy, breezy district. Best of all, most of it is affordable and walkable. If you've come for sites like the Golden Mount or the Royal Temple Wat Suthat, arrive early, while the heat is still tolerable and the touts are few. If you're looking for the mystical Khao San Road, it's better to arrive in the evening. It's worth sticking around Banglampu for lunch, as this is when the majority of the area's street stalls and shophouse restaurants are operating. And yes, the pad thai from Tip Samai is good enough for that queue. Come evening, young locals flood the area in search of a cheap meal and a cold beer, giving the area an entirely different vibe, but there are enough restaurants and bars here that there's no need to consider another destination for the night. Cocktails at Brick Bar should be on your radar. Despite being one of Bangkok's best areas for accommodation, particularly budget options, plus sights, eating and nightlife, Banglampu is not very well linked up with the rest of the city by public transport networks. This means you'll usually need a good chunk of the day here to explore. A good strategy is to approach the area via the river ferry at Phra Athit, Banglampu Pier. Most of the sites are within walking distance. Chatuchak District and Northern Bangkok best neighborhood for markets. There are several reasons to visit Chatuchak District and Northern Bangkok, but most people come for the markets. The northern suburbs are home to some of the city's best. Chatuchak Weekend Market draws tens of thousands of shoppers and is a hectic but must-do Bangkok experience. The buzzing Talat Rot Fai night market packs in copious amounts of eating, drinking and shopping for tourists and residents. The Nonthapuri Market is an expansive wet market that shows the area's provincial side, while the Chong Kui Art Park is a hipster magnet. Taking in the districts of Bang Su, Phra Nakhon and Phaya Thai too. The other reason travelers come to the suburbs is the nightlife, and the RCA, Royal City Avenue entertainment strip drawing thousands of weekend partiers. Northern Bangkok is also where you'll find the hip, artistic and upcoming Ari area. For the day markets, you'll want to arrive as early as possible. Set aside at least half a day for Chatuchak. Getting to Nonthapuri Market by boat from Sathorn, Central Pier takes at least an hour. Keep in mind that the market pretty much packs up by 9 a.m. Most clubs and live music venues, on the other hand, don't get going until 9 p.m. and close at 2 a.m. Siam Square, Pratunam, Floen Chit and Ratchathui best neighborhood for families. This is the de facto geographical and commercial center of modern Bangkok. Multi-story malls, outdoor shopping precincts and never-ending markets leave no doubt that Siam Square, Pratunam and Floen Chit combine to form Bangkok's main money-spending district. Huge malls, towering hotels, international fast food chains and open-air shopping centers dominate this area, and if you're serious about shopping, set aside the better part of a day to burn your baht here. Try to arrive around 11 a.m., when the crowds are minimal. Likewise, try to avoid Sundays when half of Bangkok seems to flock to the area's air-conditioned malls. If you're going to hit all the area's malls, it makes the most sense to start at National Stadium Station and work your way east, taking advantage of the bridges, mall corridors and elevated walkways running beneath the BTS line that link the various shopping centers. This is also the best place for families. As well as plenty of shopping and endless food options, there's a clutch of interesting sites for little ones too, such as the Bangkok Doll Factory and Museum and Siam Discovery, which has a branch of the famed Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Chinatown best neighborhood for exploring. Although many generations removed from the motherland, Bangkok's Chinatown could be a parallel universe cousin of any Chinese city. The streets are crammed with bird's nest restaurants, gaudy gold and jade shops, and flashing neon signs in Chinese characters. It's Bangkok's most hectic neighborhood, just don't forget your camera. The area's big sites, namely Wat Tramit, Golden Buddha, and the street markets, are worth visiting, but be sure to set aside enough time to do some map-free wandering among the hidden temples, crumbling shop fronts, pencil-thin alleys, and atmospheric market areas such as Talat Mai and Talat Noi. The neighborhood buzzes with activity round the clock, but is at its best from dawn to dusk, particularly its photogenic fresh food markets. There aren't too many interesting lunch options in the area, so eat between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. instead. Dining al fresco at Nay Hong and the dozens of other decades-old street food stalls are a must in this neighborhood. Chao Phraya Riverside, Siloam and Lumphinney best neighborhood for fine dining, cutting a gorge through a landscape dominated by high-rise condos, office blocks and hotels. The Chao Phraya River forms a watery backbone to these three linked neighborhoods. In the atmospheric riverside area, crumbling colonial buildings share estate space with luxe hotels and premium shopping malls. Heading inland, Siloam, Bangkok's financial district, is frenetic and modern, and spans Sathorn, a more subdued embassy zone speckled with fabulous restaurants and bars. Lumphinney, further east, is dominated by central Bangkok's largest green zone. Siloam and Lumphinney are home to some of Bangkok's most popular restaurants, many of which are located on quiet alleys far from the mayhem. They span everything from no-frills street dining to high-end fusion experiences. There's something here to suit every pocket and palate. The riverside area, meanwhile, is ideal for classy dining at restaurants in luxury hotels. The hottest ticket in the city is Michelin-starred Sawan, one of the finest Thai restaurants in the world. But the deconstructionist cooking techniques used at Ladoo, including some very inventive desserts, gives it a run for its money. Supaniga Eating Room, Nam and La Cabanon will need to be booked in advance as well. Fortunately, the post-dinner riverbank walk, winding along the Chao Phraya, is free. Thanon Sukhumvit. You'll probably spend more time on Thanon Sukhumvit eating, drinking and perhaps sleeping. There's a high concentration of hotels here, rather than sightseeing. Thanon Sukhumvit is also home to many of Bangkok's recommended and reputable massage institutions, including Healthland and the Asia Herb Association. Thankfully, the BTS, SkyTrain, runs along the length of Thanon Sukhumvit, making it a snap to reach just about anywhere around here. BTS stops are also a convenient way to define the street's various vibes. Lower Sukhumvit, particularly the area around Nana BTS station, is a discombobulating mix of sexpats and tourists. Most head here for Soy Cowboy, the city's infamous sin strip of flashing neon and raunchy bars, but there are a number of better drinking holes on the surrounding streets which aren't geared towards physical indulgence. Middle Sukhumvit, around BTS Asak, MRT Sukhumvit, is dominated by mid-range hotels, upscale condos, international restaurants and businesses meant to appeal to both tourists and resident foreigners. Near BTS Phrom Phong is where you'll find the well-concealed compounds of wealthy Thai residents and tidy Japanese enclaves, mixed with microcosms of sleaze shops. Upper Sukhumvit, extending southeast from BTS Ekamai, feels much more provincial than the cosmopolitan grain of Lower and Middle Sukhumvit.